Video got cut off. This is take two. This is take two to finish off sketch because I got cut off. I accidentally hit it with my thumb. And again, I'm not going to re-record everything, so bear with me. Number 7 of Opening the Wind. I guess this is Opening the Wind. Sorry, Opening the Wind. And it's number 7. In which lines does the poet use personification? And the answer is A, lines 3 and 4. And it's because it says, just when darkness starts its slow walk over the sky. Darkness, walking, that's kind of a human trait that you would give someone or something. So that is a good example of personification for number 7. Okay, moving on to the other poem sketch. So I have the answers here for that one as well. This was another really quick little poem, even shorter. First I'll read it to you and then I'll give you the answers. It's Sketch by Carl Sandburg. The shadows of the ships rock on the crest in the low blue luster of the tardy and the soft enrolling tide. A long brown bar at the dip of the sky puts an arm of sand in the span of salt. The lucid and endless wrinkles draw in, lapse and withdraw. Wavelets crumble, and white spent bubbles wash on the floor of the beach. Rocking on the crest in the low blue luster are the shadows of the ships. So here we go with number 1. For number 1, the answer is A. It's the detail that does not show imagery using the sense of sight. And the reason it's A is because the rocking on the crest is more of a movement. It has nothing to do with what we're seeing. For B, C, and D, that has more of a description of what you would see. So that's why that's the right answer. Number 2, what's the mood created by the author's tone of the poem? If you read through it, you get a feeling of peacefulness. So that's letter D. We'll just go right to number 3. Number 3 is looking for in stanza 2. So you're looking at kind of the little paragraphs are the stanzas. So the second stanza is lines 5 and 6. And they're asking which poetic device is used, so which figurative language. If you look at it, you can see that there's personification and alliteration. The personification is because it talks about putting an arm of sand in the span of salt. And an arm is usually something a human would have, or something more like that, with a more kind of descriptive way of saying it. So that would be the personification. And then you've got your alliteration with the repeating brown bar and sand, span, salt. So that is the correct answer there. It's always a good idea to go through the other ones, lines 6, 1, and 5, and just double check and make sure, I'm sorry. Oops, I goofed again. I meant repetition and simile, hyperbole and personification, onomatopoeia, and alliteration. Make sure you go through stanza 2 and rule those out as well. But the answer for number 3 is C. Now on to number 4. You're looking for the line that does not have alliteration. And again, you should rule out the others, 6, 1, and 5. But C, line 10, is the one that does have, or that does not have the alliteration. If you look at line 6, you see the repeating S sounds. If you look at line 1, the shadows of the ships. Line 5 has brown bar. And so line 10 is the only one that doesn't have a repetitious. It's just wash on the floor of the beach, and it doesn't have alliteration. Number 5, I thought was pretty tricky. If you're not sure what luster was referring to, you have to use context clues. So going to line 3, in the low blue luster, that is really talking about the water. When you have the shadows of the ships and they rock on the crest, you've got the blue luster of that water and the tide kind of rolling. So we're talking here about the gloss or the shine. And there is no other real hint at it being dangerous or risky in that line. The romance is not there. We don't know anything about the sky or the heaven. We're only hearing about ships and crest and tide. So we're thinking water, we're thinking glassy, we're thinking shiny. All right. Number 6 is the central idea. And notice how I numbered in the left-hand side there what line the poems are. A lot of times when you read a poem, they aren't necessarily numbered for you, but if they ask you what's lines 7 through 10, you know, the central idea, you need to count them out and just find where they are and then focus on that and try and figure out the central idea. So really, the biggest thing in those lines is B, the appearance and the action of the waves. If you go through A, C, and D, you'll see there's really not a lot of mention of the ship and the beach or an old captain in those particular lines. All right, number 7, drawing a conclusion and how the speaker or poet most likely feels. And you get D. You can definitely rule out the frightened and the dangerous. It just doesn't talk about that. It does bring up kind of the more gentle descriptions. So you're down to, is it the beach or the sea? And really, there's more focus talking about the ship on the sea and the water and the waves. So that's why you have to go with D there. Okay, hang in there. Number 8. Number 8, the author's purpose is B. It depicts the relaxation one might feel on a ship. I think you can pretty easily rule out A, C, and D. And then number 9, line 5, D is the answer. That is the one that does not depict the ocean. And then number 10, B is the one that does not match its poetic device. The metaphor in line 2, the rocks are being called waves. That is just not what is happening there. It's more like the rock on the crest is the movement of the ship. And you can go through A, C, and D and find those and just double check and make sure that they are personification, repetition, and alliteration, and you will find out that indeed they are. Okay, thank you for hanging in there with all those explanations. I just feel like a better teacher if I am telling you those answers. Now, moving on to what you're going to do today. We're looking at day 12. And so for day 12, you have a choice. You could read for your 15 minutes and then choose two topics you feel would be good practice. But honestly, even if you do just one, I'd be okay with that. 1 or 2 topics from Study Island. Or you could just read an extra 30 minutes in your own book. Remember to talk about what you're reading with someone. It's great practice for summarizing and comprehension. With the Study Island, if you choose to do that, basically any topic you can find in Study Island is good. I only put things in there that would be good for you to practice. Let's say you've done everything you can do in there. Well, just some extra reading time for you. But I know that Study Island is a great tool for practicing, especially what those MCA tests might look like. So I would suggest doing that if you feel like you need practice with that. Do a couple topics or maybe one that's a little bit longer. You use your judgment. I think you probably know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and hopefully you'll just get in a good practice. Or extra reading. Never hurt anybody. In fact, it's really good for you. So day 12 today. Just wanted to share those answers about the poem. I wanted to share my fire with you. I'm getting really warm, so I'm going to close out this video. I hope you have a wonderful day or afternoon or evening or whenever you are watching this. Thank you.